Hey everyone, I've got another tutorial for you guys to show you how to use my new product. And I apologize in advance, I got a little allergy thing going on, so if you hear me sniffle, that's what it is. Right now I've just got a basic M4 loaded up with some underwear. And I'm actually going to load an Elite texture, and I'm going to be using Stratton for this, just to begin with. And that actually has Data Studio specific shaders that loads along with the Poser preset. So we'll get those textures in here, and I've actually cut out all of these render times. You'll see right there, it just pops right up. Cut it out so you don't have to actually watch them render. It won't be boring for you. But you can see we just got a basic lighting set up, no lights at all, and all I did was load that texture. And now I'm going to go into my interjection presets and load the one for M4, and I'm going to load the middle one. It's the one I use the most often. And I'm going to go ahead and load some eyes too, just for fun, I guess. And I'll pick that one right there. And I'll do a quick render to show you how it looks with the default lighting setup. And this is a problem that a lot of people seem to have. They got that glowy face going on. It's just because there's no actual lights and no ray traced shadows, so the effects get overblown like that. So what we're going to do now is add a distant light. And I'm actually building the light preset that I made available for download right now. If you're using that light preset, you don't actually have to add the light, but this is what I did to make that. Just did a really soft distant light with ray traced shadows and crank down the intensity a little bit. And we can go to our distant light view and line it up just how we want it. And let's go back to our camera and see how this is looking so far. Should get rid of our red face issue like it did. And you can see that there's some polygon issues going on. That happens a lot with the old figures and high softness shadows. So what we got to do is actually convert to sub D to smooth that mesh out a little bit, and that should fix our issue with that. What I'm going to do right now is actually load the base Uber environment so we can get some ambient lighting going on, which will help light up the opposite side of his face. And this is just the basic pure white preset that comes with Uber environment. And I like to turn the environment sphere off. It doesn't really matter because it doesn't show up in your renders, but I like how it feels with it off while I'm working. And I just turned these to soft shadows and cranked the intensity way down to 25% because you just want a little bit. Everything else I leave at default except for the occlusion samples. I turned that to 32 for most cases, which seems to be pretty good. And you can see that's already looking pretty good. It's about the results that we're going for, except for this kind of overblown specular on his forehead right there. So I'll show you how to get rid of that. We'll go ahead and select our M4 figure and go to our Surfaces tab, and we can see we have a Michael 4 right there. And you can edit all of these together if you want. It might be easier for you, but some of the surfaces have different values for specularity, like the fingernails and stuff. So what I do is select the lip, hold shift down, and select all the way to toenail. These are basically the most important surfaces that show up. And you can see our specularity settings. It has multiple for a few of the values because there's a couple different values being used, and those are for the toenails and the fingernails. So we deselect those, and you can see it says 100% right there because all of those values are the same. So I'm going to go ahead and crank that to about 50%, and we'll see how that looks. And that's about right, I suppose. I guess right now I'm going to load up the Rob texture so we can show you how this works on a dark skinned figure. I heard a lot of people having problems with that as well, so I'll go ahead and load the default Elite Surface Shaders version of Rob on top of my M4 right now. And I guess one of the biggest problems that people have with the dark skin figures is the subsurface color, so I'll go over that here in a second. Let me do a base render so you can see what this looks like before we apply the preset. And it's got to cache the textures real fast since I loaded a new set of textures for Rob. There we go. It doesn't look too bad, but you can see there's a really dark on this side of his face where it should be bouncing around the skin a little bit, and this overall a little bit gray with no color. So we'll go ahead and load one of my presets here, and I'm going to do the same one, just the M4 middle, and let this load up for a second. And I'm going to go ahead and load another different eye preset too. Just do that one real fast. Okay, so all I did was load the texture for Rob and loaded my preset, and this is the result that we get. Some people were complaining about how red the face comes out. I guess that it would be pulled back a little bit for dark-skinned individuals. So what we can do is just go down and either switch off the ambient or lower the value a little bit. I just completely switched it off this time, and it's already helping a little bit. What else we can do is modify the subsurface color, which is down a bit further. And right now it's a dark pink, and it's at 100%, which is fine with my maps and the diffuse, but some people like to have a slightly more orange tint to the subsurface for dark skinned individuals, and I think it looks pretty good. And that's about all there is to it. I hope you enjoyed the easy solution that I've had worked out. I'm going to go ahead and do a final render for you guys of the full body so you can see what it looks like on his chest and stuff. Overall, I think it works pretty good, and it's a simple solution for adding some realism to your renders. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the product.